Happy DLC day. Hopefully I should have this out maybe about an hour before the DLC goes live. But I wanted to show off Marazhai with the build that I'm slowly putting together. So another guy called Money told me about Armor of Thorns and told me that you can proc it to do some really good stuff. We started working on the build, and then we ended up going two entirely separate ways for how we use it. So he uses grenades and status effects to proc a different weapon, but I'm using double weapons with Scissoring Strike. In the first few clips, I'm just using dash with strike and stuff like that. Sorry, breakthrough with slash, but I don't have scissor and strike. In the final clip, I do have scissor and strike, so I was just finalizing the build. I've also moved a few things, so he's got more mobility when moving around enemies. So the way this build works is you put bleed on yourself, so you get bonuses to toughness as well as some other things, and then you just put on openings on the enemies. You dash through the opening to attack the opening. You then hit the opening from the other side, and then you move around and you keep hitting openings. The primary weapon inflicts bleed. The secondary weapon does extra damage if there's bleed already on there. Death Whisper can also be used as a free hit, and you basically just use Killing Edge for every hit. Because that basically applies your lethality to some other things. So, in essence, he can do low damage, but he does a lot of little damage to try and take things out. So he becomes really good at just trash killing. He also then starts to do some AoE damage. So you'll see what the AoE procs look like in some layer fights with some more enemies too. Like, once I start using it properly, yeah, you see a lot of it. So the early footage, I'm not actually using the build correctly at the start here, because I was still kind of learning what to do. I wasn't actually using his self-buff, even though I had put the talents into it. So without his self-buff, there's a little bit less than what I should have been doing. On my Casio as well, which is my grand strategist, I also have the talent to get random stratagems. On this one, I've got the Blitz happen to come up in this fight, which can make it useful for moving around the combat to get into where I need to go. And every time he deals damage, he has a chance to get movement back. And his self-damage can actually cause him to allow to do more damage that way. And when enemies attack and he dodges, he can also build up his damage. So there is a lot going on, and it's heavily based around bleed. Which I imagine weapons will eventually be better on the Blade Dancer in the DLC, but we'll have to see once that's live. But yeah, no, he generates a lot of movement, and he can, as long as it, like, non-boss encounters, he can just solo. Like, you'll see how quickly he can just solo through all non-boss encounters. Dash really does help him get up his attack economy. Like, look, I haven't really used all that much AP. So I think I've got to use Elusive Shadow at the start, which actually would have given me more damage. So this second fight, I think these guys can't even bleed because they're like constructs and stuff. But he can do enough ta-ta-ta-ta-tas to actually take things out still. So again, you want to create these openings, move up, use your breakthrough. Then you can use slash to go through. It then moves the opening to the other side. Also, you can create more openings by giving your enemies attacks of opportunity. So you can move into their attack range, then move out. So if they have melee, a way that you can abuse that is one of the gloves is when you dodge things as an assassin, you can create openings. So what you do is you move into melee range, and then you move out. And if you've taken the talent, so you actually reduce the cost of doing that, you can then create more openings. So I should have been doing that, and I wasn't doing that here, and it wasn't something that I had thought of and actually swapped some gear to do later. So realistically here, I really should have been moving in and out. But there's so much direct damage that you do that even against high armor enemies, you kind of just ignore a lot of it. And then to actually get between stuff like Dance Macabre really, really helps with that. Again here, if I'd been smart and actually been used my self-bleeding stuff, that would have worked. He's also got a secondary ranged weapon that he can use to, like, if he's just short. But every clip you see here is all one turn. None of this is being done in, like, 2 turns. It's all round 1, and it's all from bonus actions. Like, very rarely he actually needs to take his personal turn to clear the whole battle. So, even here, I remember to use Elusive Shadow, but I forget to use his self-bleeding. But see, we go in and it creates that AoE there from the spike armor. I'm thinking about I need to get crowd kill on here to actually start using that more as well, because then it will start applying strength to it. But I can do that later, because at the moment my strength's not the best. So again here, I'm not even playing this correctly, as you can see. Like, he's just raw dogging the damage through. For this little bit, because it's obviously not his turn, but I did remember to use Joyful Torture, so you will see him to start doing a little bit more. And obviously I can move around, get set up for the other dashes. If I was smart, I would have moved out to give attacks of opportunity there. So same battle, but moved on to his next part of the turn. The enemy had moved, so you can see him over there. So now we've been given Breakthrough. We could have actually moved to the other side, but I wanted to be closer. Yep, we go through there, come back here, go through here. Oh, wait, won't let me do it. Because I'd already used it on him, but we still do have our Death Whisper. Take that man's out. Now, our movement could get us to there, but again, because of the random stratagems, we don't need to use our full movement. We just need to sort of get in range. So, free movement, noise. And then these guys, because he's dodged some of their attacks when they shot at him, they've already got exploit set up. Openings. So it's actually very useful when the enemies try shooting at you and stuff like that. And now, so from his turn, he'd use the base of it, but I have enough to go into Daring Breach, which is a warrior. Which is very, very nice. So this guy, he's in an awkward angle, so I actually can't get to it. And because he's at range, I can't force provoke an attack of opportunity. But, blink. Then we can move here to go for this guy. We dash through. Most of these guys, if I had Scissoring Strike on, so before I didn't have Scissoring Strike at this level, but I actually respec to change how I was using the build, so I did get Scissoring Strike. Just exploding people. I went from absolutely hating this companion to really enjoying him. So this is another one. Basically, enemies had come to us. So this is his first turn in this combat. But we've got lots of exploits now set up. As you can see, moving around here, smacking all these exploits. And as they move, making sure we go for them. But when you have lots of enemies, you can just keep schmoving. So I hadn't applied all the bust because obviously it's his normal turn, so he didn't have all the bonuses for free. But we were able to pick up enough momentum to start gooing. So we've already dashed through him, so we can't do it again this turn. I use my secondary once they're already bleeding, because you get some additional effects. So before they're bleeding, I use my primary. When they're bleeding, I use the secondary. just deleting things. So the enemies are up here, so I actually need to get to sort of this area, and then the last one's down there. So we have line of sight to use the blitz strategy. It's actually really useful when you get that. It really helps him. Like, it's random chance what I'm going to get, but when he gets that, beautiful. It's funny, a lot of people are saying you actually can't hit the Eldari with melee. You can do it quite easily. You just gotta know how to build like weapon score and perception high enough. Woof. And his stats are going through the roof as well, because per kill he also picks up on stuff and per dodge. But I think I'm not going to be able to make to that very last one. Like, I can get close with Dance Macabre. You can use that to run through enemies and actually provoke attacks for opportunity. So that's another way that you can set up exploits if you run out. But here, yeah, I've just not got enough to get in range. But I am facing an exploit nonetheless, so I can just take a shot into his butt. So he's already got an opening right there. Blip. So this fight is sort of when I had worked out what I wanted to do exactly with the build. So blitz stratagem in, set up my breakthrough. So this is from a bring it down action. So we set up an opening, because I know I'm not going to get much more out of this turn. So boom boom, that guy exploded. So I've put on the Joyful Torture. Gives us a little bit of a movement proc, so we can move over to this guy. He then has the unfortunate choice of moving, but we can still get in close enough. Now, I don't think it is a melee, so we can't force what I wanted there, but we can still use our armor AoEs to actually proc damages on these people. Fortunately, can't get his booty, but we can move around over to here and get this guy, which is enough to give Daring Breach, but we're not going to use Daring Breach because the smarter option is Cassia gave him Bring It Down. So we go back to Cassia and then we go back to him where we can now apply all our buffs and get everything refreshed. So we can pop on Endure to reduce damage, make sure we still got Joyful Torture in case we accidentally saved our way through it. We can put Sworn Enemy on this man that we want dead. We can then use Blitz to move over to him without using any movement. We can then pop on an opening for free. We can then pop on Elusive Shadow so we increase our damage. Reckless Strike so our next hit does more. Okay, can't use Dash because we'd already used it on him. But what we can do is we can use Killing Edge. Woof. And then he attacks us and it dodges, which creates an opening. So, yeah, him having that counterattack, not the best. Kill his buddy. And kill him. So, we do have Dance Macabre, so we're going to see how much we can move to try and get to the next group. We can get close. So now that we're here, we can dash through this guy. AoE's killed him. We're going to move here. So then we're going to hit his friend. At the moment we don't have movement to force attack of opportunities to get back, but these guys are ranged anyway, so it doesn't matter. So he's now dead, and we've now got a bit more movement. We'd already stacked up the enemies over here via Cassia. So I'm just thinking where I want to go. So I can't quite get to them, but I do have stims just to get that last little bit of movement. So we're going to move between them. We've used all our dashes. But that's okay, because we've still got all of our AP to actually do it. And we even just got Daring Breach. So we can refresh our movement. Now, for the melee ones, we could then move in and out of combat. But we're going to use Blade Wings to actually dance Macabre over here. He's dead. Then we got his little friends here. Yep, Killing Spree is activating. Whip. These are only costing 1 AP as well. Blip. And now we've got plenty of movement back to take out the last one. And death. Oh, it seems in this counter I forgot that I missed one. All the way back here. And it's going to be just outside of the range to get him, isn't it? Dang's it. I could have done that before I left out of here. Oh well. That was all from the Bodestone. Like, it's still enough for Cassie to come in and finish it. But, yeah, so you can look forward to that when so this is on the spreadsheet, so you can see the builds now. But, yeah, boy.